Before fuel economy ratings, before electronics, before trucks became fragile luxury machines, there were trucks built for one purpose: survive anything. In the 1970s, engineers didn't ask how comfortable a truck was, they asked how much abuse it could take and keep going. Thick steel frames, oversized engines, and durability so extreme that many of these trucks are still working today, while modern ones are already retired. Today, we're counting down the 10 trucks from the 70s tougher than anything today. The machines that make modern trucks look disposable. Watch carefully, because this is what real toughness looked like. Number 10. Berliet TR300. The Berliet TR300 was not designed to impress drivers with comfort or fleet managers with glossy brochures. It was designed to survive work that broke other trucks. Built in France during a time when European freight routes were harsh, unpredictable, and often overloaded, the TR300 reflected a philosophy that prioritized structural strength and mechanical longevity above all else. Berliet engineers assumed that the truck would be abused daily, maintained irregularly, and expected to keep moving regardless. At the core of the TR300 was a heavy, slow-revving diesel engine designed for torque rather than speed. This engine was intentionally understressed, meaning it rarely operated near its mechanical limits. That design choice drastically reduced internal wear and heat stress, allowing the engine to run for enormous mileages without catastrophic failure. In real-world conditions, many TR300 engines survived multiple decades with only basic overhauls, something almost unheard of in modern electronically managed power plants. The chassis was where the TR300 truly separated itself from later generations. Thick steel frame rails, reinforced crossmembers, and extremely conservative load ratings meant the truck could handle continuous overloading without frame cracking or fatigue. Operators regularly hauled loads well beyond legal limits, especially in industrial and export markets, and the truck simply absorbed the punishment. Suspension components were equally overbuilt, prioritizing durability over ride comfort. The cab was brutally simple. Minimal insulation, heavy steel panels, and a layout focused entirely on function ensured that age did little damage. While modern trucks often suffer from interior degradation long before mechanical failure, TR300 cabs aged slowly and predictably. Nothing was delicate, and nothing relied on electronics. What made the Berliet TR300 legendary was not refinement, but refusal. Refusal to quit, refuse to crack, and refusal to die when conditions turned hostile. That mindset defines true toughness. Number 9. Fiat 619. The Fiat 619 stands as one of the most underestimated heavy trucks of the 1970s, especially considering the environments it was expected to endure. Designed primarily for Southern Europe, North Africa, and long-haul routes with extreme heat and poor fuel quality, the 619 was built with reliability as its defining characteristic. Fiat engineers knew that breakdowns in these regions were not inconveniences, they were disasters. Powering the Fiat 619 was a diesel engine designed with extreme mechanical tolerance. It wasn't powerful by modern standards, but that was intentional. Lower horsepower meant lower thermal stress, reduced internal friction, and dramatically extended engine life. These engines could run continuously for long periods in high ambient temperatures without overheating, a feat modern emissions-restricted engines struggle to match. The drivetrain was massively overbuilt. Axles, gearboxes, and differentials were designed to tolerate constant overloads, steep grades, and poor road surfaces. Where modern trucks rely on software to protect components, the 619 relied on raw mechanical margin. As a result, failures were rare and usually gradual rather than sudden. Structurally, the Fiat 619 featured a heavy ladder frame designed to resist twisting and fatigue. Many of these trucks operated on roads that were barely more than dirt paths, yet frame damage was uncommon. The suspension system prioritized strength and longevity, allowing the truck to survive years of vibration and shock loading. The cab was another example of Fiat's conservative thinking. Thick steel construction, simple mechanical controls, and minimal interior complexity ensured that time had little effect on functionality. Even after decades, many Fiat 619 cabs remained structurally sound. The Fiat 619 earned its reputation not through performance numbers, but through endurance. It didn't just work, it survived environments that would cripple most modern trucks within a few years. Number 8. ERF LV series. The ERF LV series embodied a uniquely British approach to truck engineering in the 1970s. Keep it simple, keep it strong, and make sure it can be repaired anywhere. ERF didn't manufacture its own engines. Instead, it chose the most reliable diesel power plants available, most commonly Cummins engines that were already legendary for durability. This decision proved crucial. Cummins diesel engines used in the LV series were designed for constant commercial use, featuring strong crankshafts, conservative tuning, and excellent cooling capacity. These engines could be rebuilt multiple times, extending the truck's service life far beyond original expectations. The ERF frame design was deceptively strong. While lighter than some competitors, it was engineered with smart reinforcement rather than brute mass. This allowed the truck to carry heavy loads without excessive frame fatigue, while also reducing unnecessary stress on suspension components. One of the LV series' greatest strengths was serviceability. Every component was accessible. There were no electronic systems to diagnose, no proprietary complexity, and no dependence on specialized tools. For fleet operators and owner-drivers alike, this translated into minimal downtime and predictable maintenance costs. The cab design focused on practicality. It wasn't luxurious, but it was durable, corrosion-resistant, and easy to repair. Panels could be replaced, interiors refreshed, and structural integrity maintained without excessive expense. The ERF LV series became a favorite among operators who valued uptime over appearance. Many of these trucks ran for decades, often passing through multiple owners, proving that intelligent simplicity can be just as tough as brute force. Number 7. Magirus-Deutz 232D. The Magirus-Deutz 232D was unlike almost any other truck of the 1970s, and its toughness came from a single radical engineering decision: air-cooled diesel power. At a time when cooling failures were among the most common causes of truck breakdowns, Magirus-Deutz eliminated the problem entirely. Without radiators, coolant hoses, water pumps, or antifreeze, the 232D became nearly immune to overheating and cooling-related failures. This made it exceptionally reliable in extreme climates, from deserts to freezing mountain regions, where liquid-cooled engines often failed. The air-cooled diesel engine was loud, distinctive, and incredibly durable. Built with heavy internal components and conservative power output, it thrived under continuous load. Maintenance requirements were minimal, and field repairs were straightforward. The chassis matched the engine's toughness. Designed for military, fire service, and heavy construction roles, the frame and suspension were massively reinforced. These trucks were expected to operate far from service centers, sometimes off-road for extended periods, and they were built accordingly. The cab was utilitarian and rugged, prioritizing durability over comfort. Thick steel panels, minimal electronics, and robust controls ensured that age had little effect on usability. The Magirus-Deutz 232D didn't just survive harsh conditions, it was designed for them. Even today, many remain operational in remote regions, proving that radical simplicity can outlast even the most advanced modern designs. Number 6. Hino HE series. The Hino HE series is one of the clearest examples of Japanese over-engineering quietly entering the heavy truck world during the 90s. While American and European trucks dominated headlines, Hino focused on something far less glamorous, but far more important: absolute reliability over massive distances. These trucks were designed for industrial hauling, port work, and long-haul freight, where failure was unacceptable. Hino's diesel engines in the HE series were masterpieces of conservative engineering. Power output was intentionally restrained, allowing the engines to operate well below their stress limits. This resulted in exceptional longevity. The engines ran cooler, smoother, and more consistently than many larger competitors, often accumulating hundreds of thousands of kilometers without major internal repairs. Fuel systems were entirely mechanical, tolerant of poor quality diesel and inconsistent maintenance schedules. The drivetrain matched the engine's philosophy. Gearboxes were strong, slow-shifting, and nearly impossible to destroy under normal use. Axles were heavily reinforced, designed to handle repeated high-load cycles without bearing failure or housing deformation. In many industrial applications, HE series trucks ran continuously in short-haul loops for years at a time, conditions that destroy modern trucks quickly. Structurally, the HE series featured a rigid ladder frame with excellent torsional strength. Japanese engineers paid close attention to vibration management, which significantly reduced long-term metal fatigue. Suspension components were durable rather than soft, prioritizing load stability over comfort. The cab design was functional and extremely well built. While not luxurious, materials were chosen for longevity. Controls aged slowly, panels resisted corrosion, and structural integrity remained intact even after decades of use. These trucks didn't look impressive, but they earned trust. The Hino HE series proved that toughness doesn't need brute force. Sometimes precision and restraint build machines that quietly outlast everything around them. Number 5. Saviem SM. The Saviem SM series was built during a time when French manufacturers were heavily involved in supplying trucks for export markets, especially regions with poor infrastructure and extreme conditions. As a result, the SM wasn't designed for Western European comfort standards. It was engineered to survive anywhere. Power came from rugged diesel engines that emphasized reliability over refinement. These engines were deliberately simple, with low compression stress and conservative tuning that allowed them to operate under heavy loads for long periods without overheating or internal damage. Maintenance could be delayed, fuel quality could be poor, and the engine would still keep running. The SM's chassis was designed for abuse. Thick steel frame rails, reinforced mounting points, and strong suspension components allowed the truck to operate on rough roads and construction sites without structural failure. In many regions, these trucks routinely carried loads far beyond their official ratings, yet frame cracking was rare. One of the SM's greatest strengths was its adaptability. It was used in freight hauling, construction, military logistics, and even humanitarian aid operations. Its mechanical simplicity made it ideal for environments with limited access to spare parts or trained technicians. The cab was Spartan but extremely durable. Minimal electronics, solid steel construction, and straightforward mechanical controls ensured that age did little damage. Even after decades, many Saviem SM trucks remained structurally sound, with interiors that still functioned as intended. The SM earned its reputation quietly. It didn't dominate markets, but wherever it went, it stayed. That endurance defines true toughness. Number 4. Leyland Marathon. The Leyland Marathon was Britain's attempt to prove it could compete in the brutal world of European long-haul trucking during the 1970s. Rather than chasing innovation or luxury, Leyland focused on endurance, producing a truck capable of crossing countries repeatedly without mechanical drama. Under the cab, the Marathon used diesel engines known for durability and steady torque delivery. These engines weren't powerful, but they were reliable under sustained load. Long-distance hauling places enormous stress on drivetrains, and Leyland responded with conservative gearing and strong cooling systems that prioritized longevity. The Marathon's frame was designed for structural integrity over weight savings. Thick steel construction allowed the truck to handle uneven road surfaces, heavy trailers, and constant vibration without suffering fatigue failures. This made it popular with operators who valued dependability over speed. Suspension components were robust and forgiving. While ride quality was firm, it ensured stability under load and reduced long-term wear. Braking systems were simple, powerful, and easy to maintain, critical in mountainous or stop-heavy routes. The cab itself was functional and surprisingly durable. Though not known for luxury, it resisted corrosion well and maintained structural strength over time. Controls were mechanical, predictable, and easy to service. The Leyland Marathon didn't redefine trucking, but it proved that British engineering could still build trucks that lasted. Many ran far longer than expected, earning quiet respect among operators who depended on them. Number 3. Roman diesel truck. Roman diesel trucks were built with one philosophy: survival over sophistication. Produced in Eastern Europe during a period of limited resources and harsh operating environments, these trucks were designed to function reliably with minimal maintenance and basic infrastructure. The engines were crude by Western standards, but extraordinarily durable. Built with thick castings, low revving designs, and minimal complexity, they tolerated poor fuel, irregular oil changes, and extreme temperature swings. Power delivery was steady and predictable, ideal for heavy hauling and construction work. The drivetrain was massively overbuilt. Gearboxes, axles, and transfer cases were designed to handle abuse without complaint. Failures were rare, and when they occurred, repairs were straightforward. Parts were large, simple, and forgiving. Structurally, Roman trucks were tanks. Heavy frames, reinforced suspension components, and simple leaf spring setups allowed them to operate on roads that barely existed. Many were used in mining, forestry, and infrastructure projects where terrain destroyed more refined machines. The cab was basic to the point of austerity. Comfort was irrelevant. Durability was everything. Thick steel panels, minimal trim, and purely mechanical controls meant that age had little effect on functionality. Roman trucks weren't elegant, but they worked. Decades later, many still do. That brutal honesty makes them some of the toughest trucks ever built. Number 2. IFA W50. The IFA W50 is one of the most brutally honest trucks ever produced, and its toughness comes directly from the environment it was built for. Manufactured in East Germany and exported across Eastern Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America, the W50 was designed for regions where failure was not an option and support barely existed. This was not a truck meant for highways, it was meant for survival. The heart of the W50 was a naturally aspirated diesel engine built with thick castings and extremely low operating stress. Power output was modest, but that was intentional. The engine was designed to run continuously at low RPMs, which dramatically reduced wear and heat buildup. These engines were famous for running on poor quality fuel, surviving missed oil changes, and continuing to operate even when partially worn out. The drivetrain was engineered like industrial machinery. Gearboxes were heavy, slow shifting, and nearly impossible to destroy. Axles were oversized, designed to tolerate extreme loads and off-road abuse. Many W50 trucks spent their entire lives overloaded, operating on dirt roads, construction sites, forests, and military supply routes, and they kept going. Structurally, the W50 was a tank. The ladder frame was thick, rigid, and highly resistant to twisting. Suspension systems were simple but incredibly strong, using leaf springs designed for endurance rather than comfort. This made the truck extremely stable under load and resistant to long-term fatigue damage. The cab was as basic as it gets. No luxury, no insulation worth mentioning, and no fragile components. Everything inside was mechanical and built to last. Controls were heavy, tactile, and dependable. Even after decades, many W50 cabs remain structurally intact. The IFA W50 earned legendary status not because it was refined, but because it refused to stop working, no matter how bad conditions became. Number 1. Tatra T813. At number 1 stands a truck that doesn't just qualify as tough, it redefines what toughness means. The Tatra T813 was not built for roads, comfort, or efficiency. It was built to go where roads did not exist, carry loads others couldn't, and survive conditions that would destroy conventional trucks. The secret to the T813's near-mythical durability lies in its unique engineering. Instead of a traditional ladder frame, Tatra used a backbone chassis, a central load-carrying tube that protected the driveline while allowing exceptional torsional flexibility. This design prevented frame cracking and allowed the truck to traverse extreme terrain without structural failure. Power came from an air-cooled diesel engine, eliminating one of the most common failure points in heavy trucks, the cooling system. No radiators, no coolant leaks, no overheating. This made the T813 ideal for deserts, frozen regions, mountains, and military operations where reliability was non-negotiable. The drivetrain was equally extreme. Independent suspension on all wheels, portal axles, and locking differentials allowed the T813 to move through mud, snow, sand, and rock with ease. Where most trucks relied on roads, the T813 simply created its own path. Everything about the truck was overbuilt. Axles were massive. Gearboxes were designed for abuse. Components were engineered with huge safety margins. The T813 could haul artillery, logs, heavy machinery, and military equipment in environments that would instantly disable modern trucks. The cab was Spartan and purely functional, designed to protect the crew rather than comfort them. Thick steel, minimal electronics, and rugged controls ensured long-term survivability. Even today, the Tatra T813 is still used in extreme industries around the world. It doesn't represent trucking evolution, it represents mechanical immortality. Those were the trucks that didn't need protection. They were the protection. Built heavy, built stubborn, and built to outlast time itself. While modern trucks chase efficiency and comfort, these 70s legends chased one thing, never quitting. Which one of these trucks do you think was truly indestructible? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every one. If you respect real iron and old-school engineering, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Until next time, keep it loud, keep it heavy, and keep the legends alive.